Hello everyone. This is a follow-up video about operating the Hanmatech HM305P and HM310P programmable DC power supply. There's a link below to the original video. Today we're going to be looking at disabling and enabling the button beep, an updated English language version of the operating manual, and we will be reviewing two pieces of software: the software that came with the unit and third-party software. Let's start with disabling or enabling the beep. When we press a button, we hear a beep. When we rotate the shuttle, we hear a beep. And in fact, when we turn the unit on, we hear a beep. So, let's begin by powering down the unit. We're going to turn the beep off by accessing a hidden menu like this. We hold down the on-off power output button. Now we power the unit on. Keep holding the button down until address appears on the screen. Your address may be different. We are now in the hidden mode. There's different options here, and many are related to parameters for programming the device, so we're not going to touch those. The beep is the second option, and we get there by pressing the on-off power out button one time. Now we see the word beep on the screen, and the M4 button is lit up. Pressing the M4 button toggles the beep on and off. We're going to set the beep off. Now we simply power down the unit. That's it. Now, let's turn the unit on and check the beep as normal. So we power the unit on as normal. Notice no beep on power up, and now no sound as we select the buttons. That's it. So don't change any parameters other than the beep, and if you get lost in the hidden menu, just power the unit off and begin again. Next, we're going to look at an updated manual.
The manual that comes with the unit can be a little bit difficult to understand. The first page of the manual shows the diagram of the front panel where each button and knob is labeled. Then the manual documents the operation of these labeled items in the following pages, as you can see here. On page 4, we see a labeled diagram of the back of the unit, and again, each of these labeled items is documented. The last pages show the specifications of the unit. The manual also comes on the accompanying mini CD-ROM, as shown here, and we have updated the English section of this manual.
Now we can access and download the manual online. We simply go to www.circuitsbycode.com. This is the website. If we scroll down, we can see the original video operations instructions we did here. If you scroll a little further, here's the manual. You can see it online. You can just hit next here. It starts the same way. The picture here is a little bigger and a little clearer. Each item is labeled, as we saw before in the manual. And then each of these labeled items is documented in the following pages. If we scroll back up, we can see there's a download PDF button. So we just click this button, and now it opens in your PDF viewer or browser, and you can just go up and click the download button and download it to your machine. I will point out here, we added a piece here after the specifications at the end about the hidden menu you just saw to disable the beep. And that's it. Next, we're going to look at the software that came with the unit. The included software comes on a mini CD-ROM, and while it appears simplistic at first, it can be quite useful. Effectively, it allows us to expand on the memory buttons and list function. But first, we need to connect and configure our power supply unit, our computer, and our software. So let's start with the software. The software comes on a mini CD-ROM, so insert the CD-ROM like this. Now open the CD-ROM drive on your computer. You will see a folder labeled Power DC, so open that. Now you will see a number of folders and files. You can see the user manual and also a modbus.pdf document. This is technical information about how the unit communicates with your computer. You don't need this file to use the software. There's also a .NEXT-FX program. This is a Windows runtime needed by the software, but if you're using Windows 10, it will be already installed, and it also is installed on most Windows 8 machines, so you should not need this. What you do need to do is to install the driver from the driver folder. You can run this directly from the CD-ROM. So open the folder and run the setup.exe program shown here. It's running off the CD now. Say yes if you want to install. It's always a good idea to have antivirus software that checks programs before they run. Now when the dialog appears, just hit install. I've done that already, so I won't do it here, but you should have no problems. Now lastly, we're going to go up one level. The software is actually contained in this software folder. I think that might be a misspelling there, SOFEWARE. We're going to copy that to our desktop. So just drag and drop, copy that to your desktop. It's not too big, so it shouldn't take too long. Okay. Now we can close our CD-ROM window, and if it bothers you, you can rename this to software. So it looks a little bit more normal. And now when we open this folder, we see the actual program itself. And the actual program is this PowerDC.exe program here. But before we can run that, we need to do two things. One is we need to set up the COM port for the software on your computer. It communicates through the COM port. And number two, we need to set up the address on the power supply unit. The computer can control multiple power supplies or devices, so each one has its own address. So we need to set that up. So first, we need to plug in the USB cable to the unit. So let's look at that now. Make sure the power supply is turned on. Now we need to see what COM port your computer is using for the USB port. So we're going to open Device Manager. Just go down to the Start menu, click it once, and type DEV, and your Device Manager should pop up. So select that. Now you should see a Ports, COM, and LPT option here. If not, check that the unit is powered on and your USB cable is connected correctly. Try disconnecting it and connecting it again. Now open the Ports, COM, and LPT option. Select the channel. Right-click, select Properties. Go to the Ports Settings tab, go to Advanced, and here you see what COM port your computer is set up for on your unit, COM5. So write that down. Now we're just going to cancel out of here. Don't change anything. We're just going to exit out here. Let's open our software folder again. And now we're going to look to one of the most important areas, and that's the setting directory. So open this and you'll see a number of XML files. These are just text configuration files. And the one we want here is this WS-COMSET XML. Now we're going to right click. You can open that, open with Notepad. We're going to edit here and we're going to place that port name the same as what we found in Device Manager, in our case port 5. So delete the 1, 5 and save. That's it. Now we have the computer set up. So the second step we need is to set the unit address on the power supply itself. Now we do that with the hidden menu. First we can see here in this file, if I open it here with another program I use called Notepad++, if we go down here, this is a configuration file, but if we go down to our unit here, 4-digit display, we can see that the address is 0001. So we need to set that up on the unit. So now let's do that. We enter the hidden menu just like we did when turning the beep on and off. So we hold down the power output button while we power the unit on, and keep holding the button until address appears. Now this unit already has an address set to 1, but you'll notice that M3, M4, M5 and M6 are lit up. We use M3 and M4 to increment and decrement the address. So M3 increases, M4 decreases. So just set that to 001, then just power off the unit. That's it. Okay, now we should be all set to start the software. Note that all the changes we made here so far are one-time changes, so you won't need to make these again. Make sure the unit is powered on and connected to your computer, so let's start the software. We'll open the software folder, and the program is this powerdc.exe file. So double-click that to start it, and this is the program. What I like to do first is to just set a voltage that's different than currently displayed on the unit. So right now we're showing 1 volt. So I'll set 3 volts here. Let's see, does this work? And click the setting button, and it does. Notice it now says 3 volts on the unit and setting successful. I can do the same here for the current. So let me set up 250 milliamps. It's setting. Now the unit says 250 and I get a success. So you'll notice various areas here, some status at top, some charts here, but the real power comes when we select this default device. That is our unit. And you can see here now it's picked up a description, it's picked up some values, which is a really good sign, communication is working. And you see down here 2 entries. These are just like the memory buttons in our list function. So if we open out here a little bit, we can see you can set a voltage, a current, 2.5 volts, 125 milliamps, and 3 seconds. You can also disable them. We have a second one at 3.2 volts, 234 milliamps for 5 seconds. Now all we do to rotate between them is double click the default device. Now it comes up and says the device is not turned on. Would you like to turn it on? We sure would. We hit OK, and off we go. The device itself is now cycling through both of these. You can see them jump here between 2.5 volts and 3.2. It's displaying that here in the software as well. And over here, you can see now a chart of how that's happening, of the voltage, the current, and the power. You also see up here a number of executions. I have this set to execute this sequence 10 times. It's now on execution 4. So that's it. Now, you're probably wondering, how do we set these? The answer is we can set these ourselves, and we can set a lot of them. We can set up to 99 different sequences. So the next section, we're going to look at that. First, let's turn off the device. We do that by simply double-clicking here, and it tells us, hey, the device is running. Would you like to stop it? Yes, I would. I click stop, shuts down the unit. Now if I want to turn everything off, everything is off. And now I think you'll see the fan has stopped and the output is no longer being applied. So let's look at how we create this list here in our next section. Now we're going to look at how we can create our own sequence of voltage, currents, and times. Unfortunately, it doesn't appear you can do that inside the program. So let's look at how we do that. First, we must shut down the software. So just close the program. Now we go into our setting folder and we must edit an XML file. This file here, auto control value. So I'm going to edit it here in Notepad++. It's a free program. You can download it if you wish. But you can use Notepad. Here's what this program looks like. Now remember, we had two settings. These are the two settings. The first was list 0. The second was list 1. Now you can see here the voltage is 2.5 volts. The current is 0.13, 123 milliamps. We're not going to change anything to do with the power errors or time adjust. Here's the time in milliseconds. And you can enable or disable it. It'll skip it if it's disabled if you type false, F-A-L-S-E in here. Same here. Different voltage, 3.2, different current, and different time, 5 seconds. So the unit will execute these two. Now up here at top, you'll notice there's a count of how many items we have in the list. 2, 1, 2. And you'll notice the loop count, 10. This is where I mentioned earlier I had this set at 10. It will run through the loop 10 times and then it will stop. Now you can change these values right here and just save the file and it will run the new values. So let's do that. Now let's change our unit to, let's say 1 volt. And let's say we'll go with 100 milliamps. I just have to be a little careful of what my little motor is able to take. I'll put in here 7 seconds. I'll change this one here to 3 volts. 234 is fine, and I'll set this to 4 seconds. Now, what I can also do though is I can just replicate these. So let's do that. So just select one of the sections like this, copy it out, just go to the end or wherever you want to install it, and just paste it in. Now, a few things you need to do. First, make sure you relabel it to the next number in sequence. So we had 0 up here, list 0, list 1, now we have list 2. So label the front, list 2, and label the closing end, list 2. Now we have a third section. We have 3 in the list, so don't forget, list count is now 3. And let's do our loop count this time twice. Now we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Let's make our third one a little different so we recognize it. Let's go up here to 4.2 volts. Let's go to 150 milliamps, and let's do this guy for 3 seconds. So now we have 1, 2, and 3. So let's save the file. Save. And that's it. Now we can restart the software. I'm going to do that next. I just need to get my camera on the unit set up and we look at that. Now that we've saved some new settings, let's restart the program and see if they work. So again, we launch PowerDC-EXE. Again, let's do a setting. Right now we're showing 1 volt, so let's try 4 volts. Let's do a setting. Setting success. Unit is showing 4 volts. Looks like we're good to go. So let's click our device. Here's our 3 settings. And here's the numbers we put in. And now all we have to do is double click, turn the device on, and off it goes. Now remember we said we do 2 executions. So this time it's going through. And let's pull this out a little bit so you can see. 3 seconds here. Now it's back on 1 volt. My fan is just barely running for 7 seconds. Now we've gone to 3 volts for 4 seconds. And now we're to 4.2 for 3 seconds and back to the front. Notice the number of executions here. Now, this is important. It's actually now completed our executions. And the thing about it is, it stays on when it's done. Now, we can just click here to turn it off. But one thing you can do is just add an entry at the end here for 0. Now, you can add as many entries as you wish here. So just keep adding to the settings file we looked at here earlier. Let's go in and just have a quick look. So just keep adding here as many as you like. Also, I'd like to say that if we look here, you will see a log folder. And in that log folder, it saves everything it's doing and showing here in these charts. So this way you can go back and see what the unit has done if it was running unattended, let's say. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this and this was useful, and see you next time.